Today, we're diving into something absolutely fascinating, the drastic shift in the Australian lifestyle from 1980 to the present day. We often think of progress as this straight line upward, right? But looking back at this lost era of social connectivity and simplicity, well, it might just highlight exactly what we're missing today. So let's explore the untethered life. Okay, let's dive into this. Think about the modern weekend for a second. How often do our days off just completely disappear? Poof, gone. They vanish in front of smartphones, or wandering aimlessly through shopping centers, or getting caught in that literal loop of endless scrolling on social media. But back in 1980, the weekend was a totally different beast. It was all about physical presence. Families were packing sandwiches and driving out to the beach, exploring national parks, or gathering at local picnic spots. It was an era where kids played backyard cricket for hours on end, while parents actually stood around a barbecue and chatted with their neighbors. It was just a much more active, community-focused, and deeply connected way to spend time off. Section 1. The Weekend Shift. From outdoors to online. So things like local football matches, school fairs, community markets, town festivals, and neighborhood barbecues, these really formed the backbone of Australian society in 1980. And they weren't just events. They were the manual, organic ways that communities were built and sustained. Because people weren't locked into these digital ecosystems, they actually went out into their local environment. These vibrant events regularly brought people together, creating bonds so strong that it was incredibly common for entire streets to know absolutely everyone by name. I mean, imagine that level of community today. And this leads to a pretty profound realization. As our source notes, lifelong friendships were built simply because people spent more time face-to-face instead of online. Human connection didn't require algorithms. It didn't need friend requests. It thrived on simple, physical proximity. The sheer volume of face-to-face interaction organically fostered these deep, lifelong friendships that are honestly often way harder to cultivate in our current heavily mediated digital world. Let's move to and see how this builds in Section 2, Navigating the Analog World, Life Without Modern Tech. Navigating life back then required a completely different mindset. If you wanted to plan a holiday, you couldn't just open a dozen browser tabs and compare hundreds of websites in 10 minutes. No way. Step 1 was physically visiting a travel agency, and booking flights or hotels, that often took days to finalize. And then, when you actually hit the road, there was no GPS telling you where to go. Almost every car had a giant physical roadmap stuffed into the glove box. If you took a wrong turn, you had to embrace the arduous but highly interactive reality of pulling over at a petrol station to ask a local for directions. It took a lot more effort and planning for sure, but it forced a certain kind of patience and engagement with the physical world around you. And this brilliantly illustrates how those analog limitations actually acted as value creators. Think about photography for a second. Today, we snap thousands of instant digital pictures, glance at them for maybe a second, and then bury them forever in our camera rolls. But in 1980, cameras used actual film. You couldn't instantly see your picture. You had to wait until the film was developed, which sometimes took weeks. But here is the beautiful trade-off. That mandatory patience made every single photograph feel far more valuable and far more intentional than the disposable thousands we take today. Section 3. The Ultimate Luxury. Finding Peace of Mind. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it redefines true value. Perhaps the biggest luxury Australians had back in 1980 wasn't massive wealth or the latest gadget. Luxury was peace of mind. And that peace of mind was granted by a strict, impenetrable boundary between professional responsibilities and domestic life. True luxury was having mental space that simply could not be intruded upon by the outside world once you walked through your front door. To truly appreciate that luxury, you have to look at what was absent, the complete absence of our modern always-on culture. There were no constant work emails buzzing in your pocket during dinner. There were no office group chats demanding a quick reply on a Sunday morning. There were zero late-night notifications lighting up the bedside table. Compared to the constant digital bombardment we face today, evenings in 1980 were quiet. They were strictly personal and devoted entirely to family, friends, and actual relaxation instead of endlessly scrolling through news feeds. So the absolutely crucial point is this. When work was finished, you were finished. It's such a simple sentence, right? But it carries so much weight today. Home was truly home. That physical separation between work and personal life created an environment where people could genuinely unwind. It wasn't just about work-life balance, it was about a hard work-life boundary. And that is exactly what many Australians today deeply wish they could experience again. Section 4. Lessons from 1980. Reclaiming Tranquility. We've seen how a lack of advanced technology actually fostered closer communities, immense patience, and a sacred boundary around personal time. The nostalgia that many feel for 1980 isn't just about romanticizing the past, it's a direct response to our collective exhaustion from hyperconnectivity today. So, I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought as you reconsider your own boundaries. In a world of constant connection, is true luxury simply the ability to disconnect? Thank you for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this inspires you to reclaim a little bit of that untethered mental tranquility for yourself.